Check out my wife's call log and compare with where she is, I figured. Hi everyone, welcome back to another Reddit cheating story. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you won't miss another cheating story goes live. So my wife and I just celebrated our 6 years being married. 10 years together. And we have 2 children. We have not had the smoothest ride during our relationship. Some of which is my fault, some is hers, and some is both of us. We are a strong couple when we are close and things are great, and other times we are weak. Anyways, as of recently +/2 months, I've noticed small differences in her behavior, timeline, and actions. For instance, she started having to stay late every day for work meetings. She's been getting home later and later, citing traffic as the reason, which doesn't add up to me. Overly eager for me to do things without her. Excessively in the bathroom multiple times in a short period. Long walks with the dog in the cold, which she never did before because she hates the cold. Going out with coworkers often, she never used to go out and now it's every week. Coming home late and not answering her phone. So anyways, clearly I knew something was up. I asked her if there was something she needed to tell me and if there was someone else. So said no every time, and convincingly so. Even swore that she would never do that. I was highly upset and skeptical this past Friday. She went out with coworkers and the last call from her was at 8:10 p.m. She said she couldn't hear, but wanted to tell me she was okay, and hung up. I called and texted several times later that night and there was no response. She calls me at 3 a.m. and said she's sorry, fell asleep at a friend's house. That didn't sit right with me at all. I felt something was wrong. Anyways, fast forward to last night, I log into my phone account and immediately see all of these calls and texts from a number that belonged to Rochester, New York. I remember her telling me that her coworker was from Rochester, New York. And she was calling him every time she stepped out to walk the dog, after getting off the phone with me on her way home, and at 9:45 p.m. for 45 minutes that night that she didn't come home until 3 o'clock. Boom, so I wake her up and confront her. She had a dumbfounded and shocked look on her face and lied right to my face. Even with me telling her that I know what's been going on and I know who it's with. Then she tells me, there was someone but there's not anymore, and I called bullshit on that again. Finally I tell her who it is and her face dropped. She started apologizing profusely, but I just can't accept it. She's hurt me terribly and I don't know what I'm going to do. Now she's telling me he was just a friend and an easy person to talk to, but with how many calls and texts there are, the timing, the days, and the lengths, I feel strongly in my core that it was way more than that and that they slept together. Please let me know your thoughts. Updates. Thanks so much to everyone with the overwhelming support. This is a very difficult time, and while I am typically strong and sound-minded, I feel incredibly weak, vulnerable, and defeated. It's hard to hold back tears and to not descend into an ever downward spiraling hole of misery. You guys are keeping me afloat. Looking at the timeline of the call logs, there are many calls that come to her when she conveniently was away and available for a phone call. But no texts to him. So I asked her how she knew how to call him, Snapchat, fake number, etc. And she denied and avoided the question like I was an idiot. Found call logs going back to September late at night with her calling a different guy that we both know. And as far as I knew, she never even had his number. Here are some best comments from our community. Collect as much evidence as possible and contact an attorney. Do a complete 180. File the divorce papers and have her served. Reconciliation can only come with the treat of a divorce. If you choose to reconcile after the divorce papers are served, she must do the following. Cut off all contact with the AP. She must quit her job and notify HR of the affair with you there to witness it. Also, notify the AP wife. If she refuses, divorce. 2. She must publicly confess her affair to close friends and relatives. If she refuses, divorce. 3. She must get an STD and the test must come back clean. Get one yourself. 4. Choose a good marriage counselor. And begin counseling. You must choose the counselor, not her. Godspeed. Your objective should be to have an escape plan if your relationship turns toxic. For example, if your girlfriend physically abuses you. You will try to de-escalate the situation, call the police, have the offender arrested, get a restraining order, and exit the relationship. Yet no one has a strategy to handle infidelity, emotional abuse, dead bedroom, etc. So, the next relationship you enter, have an escape plan in place if things turn toxic. As a divorce attorney, if you're serving her papers, 9/10 times reconciliation is not going to happen. Public shaming is not going to help. Quitting her job is not going to help. All that does is degrade her and create resentment. Plus, the threats of that can and will come up in the divorce as showing your malice towards the other parent, making it difficult for a judge to believe you can co-parent with her. This is not forcing her. It's giving her a choice: cut off all contact or divorce. He has every right to leave, to set strict terms for reconciliation. 90% of cheaters will cheat again. To save the marriage, she has to cut all contact with him, which is impossible if she sees him every day at work. I agree with that, but your degradation advice isn't going to mend a broken relationship. He'd only be creating an even bigger hurdle for them to overcome. Becoming the aggressor and fostering a victim complex is not a solution I'd recommend to anyone. It's bad advice. People on this subreddit scare me sometimes. I have no idea how I ended up happy and better than ever after a few months, and so many here ended up bitter and angry for years to come, but I can tell you my path is definitely the one to follow, and I didn't attempt to do shit like this or formulate any bullshit petty revenge plans. I just lived my life and took care of myself until I felt better. I think sometimes this sub does more harm than good. If I could help all of you, I would, but it doesn't seem like anyone here wants it. From a statistic I've heard prior to this thread, 9/10 infidelity, once discovered, will lead to divorce, so your number of people who file for divorce achieving reconciliation seems to me to be consistent with what one can expect whether they file for divorce immediately or not. I agree that public shaming is bad for divorce court. However, when discussing parameters for reconciliation, no contract with the AP is crucial. If that involves the AWS leaving their job, then that is a choice the WS will have to make when confronted with divorce. It's not a condition of divorce, it's a condition of reconciliation, which may or may not happen in any case. I think it's important to delineate between what WS must do to try to save the marriage v. what will happen going into a divorce. If OP decides to file and move forward with a divorce with no desire for reconciliation, making her quit her job is really unnecessary. There is nothing to be gained in court by doing so. If they want to try to save the marriage, it's crucial that boundaries get established and daily contact with an AP is definitely out of bounds. I'm not a lawyer, so don't take anything I say as legal advice. I'm just interested in how things can change when the decision to file is made. From a statistic I've heard prior to this thread, 9/10 infidelity, once discovered, will lead to divorce, so your number of people who file for divorce achieving reconciliation seems to me to be consistent with what one can expect whether they file for divorce immediately or not. I agree that public shaming is bad for divorce court. However, when discussing parameters for reconciliation, no contract with the AP is crucial. If that involves the AWS leaving their job, then that is a choice the WS will have to make when confronted with divorce. It's not a condition of divorce, it's a condition of reconciliation, which may or may not happen in any case. I think it's important to delineate between what WS must do to try to save the marriage v. what will happen going into a divorce. If OP decides to file and move forward with a divorce with no desire for reconciliation, making her quit her job is really unnecessary. There is nothing to be gained in court by doing so. If they want to try to save the marriage, it's crucial that boundaries get established and daily contact with an AP is definitely out of bounds. I'm not a lawyer, so don't take anything I say as legal advice. I'm just interested in how things can change when the decision to file is made. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for any future cheating stories.